We're live.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past. The future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer, and today I'm joined by my three co-hosts. God damn, it's good to be back. I missed you guys. A founding member of the R&B soul singing group Destiny's Child, who ended up leaving the group because they wouldn't take the word child out of their name. Briar Rabbit, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, Beastly. I'm having a great time over here. I am still on it's like a methamphetamine high that I've been just riding ever since the PC beta, Destiny 2.
Yeah. I've seen lots of exciting videos from you, my friend. Unfortunately for me, I was actually a little under the weather for the last week or so. You guys know that I was unable to do the show last week. I'm feeling a lot better. I still feel the undertones of sickness, but it's coming out. And so I'm really, really excited to be back.
Crabs can be rough, man. Crabs can be rough. It's hard to get rid of them fuckers.
Well, damn. You put my business out there, huh?
You got to hit him with the shampoo.
On that note.
You got to hit him with the shampoo, Beastly.
I've been using the steel wool brush. It doesn't work. Let me just say that. Hell of a rash. But I'm feeling a lot better. Gary Diaz, we've been missing you, my friend. Welcome home. Welcome back to Revolver Live. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, man. It was a good, successful trip. I was I think the LP is almost ready to drop. I've been collaborating with some pretty heavy hitting names. Not sure what we're going to go with, but you can watch out for the hottest Vita based lyrics dropping in 2018.
Oh fuck, that's exciting news. As a side note, Gary, you
also
are
the only Vita related lyrics dropping in 2018.
Yeah, he needs a ghostwriter. I'm going to work with him and get that Vita together. We got to find Vita and find a way to make it rhyme with PETA and Lolita, shit that Gary knows about. Anyway, Gary, I want you to show everybody your sweater, man. It's really, really awesome. Gary is the man, the freshest member of the crew today. Would you mind showing people that beautiful Overwatch Diva sweater you got on?
Yeah, it's actually my fiance sweater by the look of it. No, it's a pink Diva
all yours.
Sweater, which is the most swaggerlicious thing that I bought from your United States of Trump. It was amazing. It was available in Hot Topic for like $45. That's like crazy cheap, at least for UK prices. So it was like a no hesitation purchase. I was like, that's a pink hoodie. That's only available in skin tight small. That just says me all over it. So.
That is the wardrobe of a man who is secure in his sexuality.
I was just getting ready to say, I'm in the dirty South down here in Atlanta. There's quite a few bars you wouldn't even have to pay to get into down here. Just walk up with that sweater on and say, "You come on in, sweetie."
Free booze? I gotta get my ass to Hot Topic.
I think you might have misspoke there, Briar. I'm comfortable in my homosexuality. That's kind of what we went with there. That was the top. But no, it's comfortable. That's all I can say.
You're looking good.
It looks good. You're fresh as hell. I mean, it'd be hard for me to wear pink, but I'd have to do it for a Diva sweater. I don't know if they
think you'd look good in pink.
You think so?
Yeah.
I just couldn't let my dad watch it. He disowned me. Wilson, what's going on, baby? The man that will beat your glass if you say the wrong thing to him. Wilson, it's great to see you, my friend. Thank you and Briar so much for holding down last week. Looks like you got a new location, undisclosed, but we're very, very happy to have you with us. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to see you're feeling better as well. I'm out here watching my folks' place while they're away on vacation. So I'm the master of the domain of the house I grew up in. So it's cool.
Okay.
It's nice and chill.
Have you raided your mom's closet and started dressing in her clothes yet?
He used to.
She's watching, Briar.
So no, you haven't yet.
No, first thing was raid the fridge, and there was some Lunchables in there, and I was cracking up because I was like, Lunchables in 2017.
I knew you were coming.
Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome.
It's always good to be home. Looks like you got a nice, comfortable spot to sit and do the show, and we're very, very happy to have you with us. Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. Become a part of the show by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/BriarRabbit. That's twitch.tv/BriarRabbit. The video is then shared on YouTube, on Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel and my channel, Beastly Gamer. If you're unable to see the live feed or the video format, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that said, welcome to Revolver Live, episode 7. Welcome to heaven. What's going on, guys?
Yo, Gary, you just got home from Freedom Land. You just took a trip to Freedom Land, and all I'm hearing is bitching and complaining about the bathrooms. What's going on with that, man?
Did you get to shake Donald Trump's hand? Did you shake his hand or did you kick him in the balls? Which one was it?
I didn't get to shake his hand. I couldn't find it. It was very, very small.
tiny.
I tried to find it, but it was a tiny, tiny hand. But I tell you what I did have problems with, and that is American public restrooms. You know, I don't know why there's so much conflict of, like, you know, transgender people wanting to get into them. I don't think anyone wants to get into them. By the end of the holiday, I was ready to just take a piss in the street. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a comfortable place to be.
That's usually
like,
my solution.
I mean,
You make a
I
great
don't know if
American.
you guys have been outside of the United States and used any civilized countries' restrooms, right?
I have.
But
I have, in fact.
I've got to say to you that, you know, the stalls that you sit in, who thinks it's a good idea to stop at the knee? Like, if you're going to do all that wood and that work to create a hinge, just run it to the floor. Run it to the floor and give me some goddamn privacy when I'm taking a shit.
But then how are you
You know.
supposed to, like, tap people on the foot?
That's true, yeah.
Let them know you're up for sex.
See, Gary,
Yeah.
here
Or
in
that
the
you need
States,
toilet paper.
Gary, this is the land of opportunity.
Oh, is
and
that
there's
what that
always-
guy wanted?
There's always opportunities in public restrooms. You know, you never know who's going to sit there with
He's
you.
gonna be pissed.
You know, the guy next to you could need some toilet paper. He could need a friend, anything. So you got to be open to opportunities in the United States. It's the land of opportunity.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
freedom
I'll
comes
allow
at a
you that
price,
then.
Gary.
right?
It comes at a price and it starts knee down.
I will allow
Right,
you
Wilson, that's right.
the knee-high stall things. But
Yes.
is there any reason, it's just poor craftsmanship, that the door at the front has like a 1/4-inch gap, right? So people don't even look at the vacant occupied sign. They just peek through the stall to see if you're
Yeah,
in there.
Right, yeah.
That's
I
how
want to
you
see
get
what
people
you're
to
up in
hurry up.
there. What are you doing in there?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's how you get people to hurry up.
I'm not sure if I want to use this stall when you're done.
Man, that's all fine. It's when they start winking through the cubicles that you got problems. I mean, it was an unsettling experience. What I'm saying is, I'm used to, in the UK, we are a very humble people, right? I'm used to having doors that go to the floor, you know, a nice lock, something else there, you know. People will stand outside a restroom for like 20, 25 minutes without knocking. We're that reserved. But over there, man, I felt like I was being rushed. I felt like, you know, I had God knows who next to me with like hairy knuckles as they went to reach for their pants. It was just like, it wasn't a comforting experience. And I tried a lot of restrooms, man. It was pretty much a holiday of restrooms trying to find me one that I felt comfortable in.
Yeah.
But man, I just didn't shit for 6 days. That was the
Yeah,
solution.
that's the way you do it, man. When you go on vacation, that's what you do. You just don't shit for 6 days. And when you're at home, you just make sure you shit before you leave. Like, and if you don't get to shit before you leave, you fucking wait till you get home.
Solid advice.
Oh, you know, it's really sad. I'm looking at Gary's face. He looks really, really dejected. You know, due to his American experience. I'm guessing someone asked him, where do you get that pink sweater from when they looked through the crack? He said, ooh, yeah, I like that sweater, brother. But
It was
we're
just not nice.
Yeah, I mean,
It comes at a price, Gary. It's encouraging you to do your business, get out there and be free. You can't be free if you're in a stall, you know what I mean? So we're encouraging you to hurry up. It's supposed to be a not comforting experience to get you out of there. Nobody wants you in there. I can tell you right now, the establishment doesn't want you in there.
no, hell no, they don't.
They
want
just
you out
have to
there
have it.
consuming and spending
That's
money.
right.
You know,
And
American-
honestly, if we're judging the freedom of a place based on its restrooms, I gotta say Ireland has to be the most free place I've ever been, because I went to a bar there one time and they had a trough basically on the ground with a tube that just went outside. It's just like a hole in the wall.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you walk up, you just piss against the wall, it flows down the wall and out the outside.
We have them. That's fine. I'll get my lad out and take a piss. But when I'm taking a shit, I need the privacy, man. We have them in the UK, like the urinal troughs, and they've got little cakes and pubes floating in the bottom. It's quite a reassuring sight for me. That felt like home when you said that.
I need to address something. You talked about the little futuristic pissers that you guys got on the street. It's like an area that you walk into and the door goes
The self-cleaning
behind you. Yeah, and it self-cleans itself. Your toilets kill people where you're from. At least ours are safe. The self-cleaning thing came on to 200 degrees and fried a man. You told me that, Gary.
Okay, it killed
Yeah,
me
one
that.
man.
what you gonna say now?
It killed one man. How many people have died from intestinal discomfort because they're so, perturbed entering a restroom in the United States?
Yeah, but the toilet itself
Compacted
didn't come
feces
and
just
kill
backlogging
me.
in their intestines.
Yeah, the toilet didn't come and pour liquid hot magma on me.
I was not happy.
You
Another thing
can't
as well.
wipe that away, Gary.
You think shock and awe was a term invented for war? No, it was invented by a guy who walked into a 7-Eleven bathroom.
And the other thing I found was that you guys just have no appreciation of Heinz tomato ketchup. Like, ketchup is like, how many places have I walked in? That face there, Briar, is the face that's greeted me across every day of my vacation. I'd go into Starbucks and I'd get like a nice toasted muffin or whatever they serve there, you know, the cheddar and bacon.
Wait a minute.
And what? And then
You asked for ketchup for your muffin at Starbucks?
Are you serious?
yeah, like little toasted English muffin, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
everyone looked at me with that disgusted face. I could just
Yeah.
ask them to take
Yeah.
a crap in
Yeah.
my muffin.
What the
That's-
fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said it wrong. It's tomato. Tomato. Say it with me.
What I resorted to doing was robbing the buffet cart at night and keeping a bum bag of tomato ketchup with me. So I was equipped wherever I went. It was fantastic.
Have you ever
Solved
heard of
your American...
jelly or jam?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. with
Cream
that.
cheese or butter?
Yeah, cream cheese. Put that in the English
sugar or
muffin.
fat in it, you know?
Welcome.
It was-
Look, Gary, this is what you need to remember for your next visit to the States. If you're going to come to the States, you got to act like a statesman. You got to try some stateside foods and embrace disgusting restrooms with four foot high walls that you can see people sitting down in. And never, ever put ketchup on any breakfast food besides hash browns for the rest of your life.
Yeah, we are
It was-
drowning in tomato ketchup over here. Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're just using it in the
Tomato.
right place.
Yeah.
You had
The
no
right
baked
places.
beans, no baked beans, no
Or-
ketchup. Breakfast was ruined.
And the
Make it
beer was
ruined.
cold.
You asked for chips and they gave you potato chips. Do you call
It
it
was
potato
terrible.
or potato?
It's potato, tomato.
It's terrible.
I'm
just glad-
I'm curious.
He's
I'm just
glad to be
gone, if I'm
home.
honest with you. It was, and I was in Florida as well, which is like walking around inside an obese person's armpit. It was just
Yeah.
like,
I don't know how you planned a Florida trip in August, but that was fucking stupid.
Usually playing it in like December.
it was sweltering. And well, it didn't help as well that like Florida, or at least Disney World, is like, you know, like Muslims go on a little pilgrimage to Mecca, and you know, Catholics might go to the Vatican. If you're what I would call the term morbidly obese to the point that you have to go around in a scooter, it's like a homing beacon to these guys in Disney World. I have never seen a collection of them like tribes people, and they've all got these motorized scooters with fans blowing them from several directions. I think
Ooh, they
don't
got
go
fans?
to Florida.
Were they in the classic flying V formation as they were all going through? Like,
Man, I tell you what, like, if you get a wife like that, you pay by the pound. These are some big ass people you guys had. I was impressed, if anything.
Growing
You know,
big.
I think
We're
it's just,
growing big here.
yeah.
We don't fuck
it was
about.
like showing a sign of wealth, you know, that you could eat yourself into that size. It was impressive, man. Impressive.
Freedom's a big
Welcome to
word.
America. It's like Wall-E. You remember the movie, the
Yeah.
CG movie
I
Wall-E, where
lived
everyone
it.
was,
I lived it for 2 weeks. It was
Wow.
great.
damn.
It's great.
Thanks, Pixar. Shit.
But,
So the
but yeah,
trip
that
went
that
well then.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a 9 out
vacation.
of 10.
My vacation. But now I'm back looking at all of you handsome gentlemen and fine representations of America. I feel like you're like the North Korean propaganda for America. You guys make the country look good, and then you get there, and it's just fucking chaos in the streets. And just,
That's how I feel about it too. I just make this shit look good.
Yeah, Briar. We do our best. We do our best.
You just compared us to North Korea.
I
He said
compared
the
you to the
propaganda.
North Korean government. There's a difference.
The propaganda. Oh, God damn.
How many
No,
Did you
I gotta
sell?
say the worst part about your Florida trip was you missed the PC beta for Destiny 2. It's it,
I didn't, and in fact, I think that you can start evangelizing about it, and I can join because I had 4 glorious hours of that.
Oh, you had 4
So-
hours? Oh, that's pretty
I had
good.
4 hours.
Nice.
The first hour of it, I spent just trying to tweak it for the absolute maximum possible frame rate and appearance, and
Yeah.
the other 3 were enjoying the game. So that's pretty good ratio, 25% to 75% for PC gaming, I think. usually
Yeah,
what
that's
it
pretty good, right? Especially for a beta. Guys,
Talk to me,
I gotta tell you,
Dave.
this beta, not only was it absolutely fucking stunning. Like I've talked about going to the Destiny reveal event back in, when was that? May? I don't even remember when it was. Going out to LA and walking around the corner, like playing the PlayStation 4 version of the game, walking around the corner and just standing there slack-jawed when I was confronted by the game on PC. It's just that much better looking, right? Now we've all had a chance to see it. Was I fucking around or what?
Were you lying? Absolutely not. It was the first. Okay, I've played a lot of PC games. I've never always had the most like top of the line PC, but this was one of the first times that I jumped into a PC game and was completely mesmerized by what I saw. And I don't know if it's because I care so much about the Destiny universe, because there are other games that look a lot better at ultra settings. You know, there really is. But it was something about it, man, that it felt good. And it's got me, Briar, you had actually said this, it's got me really excited for the console release.
Yeah. They made a lot of changes to the game since the console beta. So players who played the console beta and didn't get a chance to play the PC beta, what we were confronted with was a PvE situation, a PvE meta that was just a lot more fun. You got supers more often, your guns were more powerful. You felt like the powerful Guardian that you were in Destiny 1. And I gotta say, it turns out that is more fun, without a doubt. I played the Strike much more than I played it on the console because it was just more fun to play. It wasn't as tedious and as slow moving and firing at one enemy over and over again, which I really liked. I don't know if you guys got the same impression from PvE.
PvE felt a lot better. Like, it felt very tedious to go through that Strike. The first time through, I did it a couple times and I was like, I kind of want to do some PvE, but like, man, that Strike, it just, when you get to the boss, it's just, it felt like Valis, like year one unnerfed Valis. Like, you're just standing there, just pumping rounds into him.
I felt like it was easier to play, and not just because it was keyboard and mouse, because I play Zim, so I'm part of the problem on PlayStation 4. So, you know, I've been keyboard and mouse on Destiny for years and years now. But 30 frames versus 144 or 240, whatever you're playing it at.
What were you playing it at when you tried it, Gary?
I was at 144. I think Briar was 240, were you? Or 200, obviously, because you were...
Yeah, it capped out at 200. The beta caps
200
out at...
200 frames per second?
Yeah. So it caps out at 200 frames per second. And I was fluctuating depending on where I was. I'd see like as low as 130 and as high as 200. Probably like the median was probably 160, 170 most of the time.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Gary, you're right. It was easier to aim. It was easier to spin around, locate a target, and immediately headshot it because you didn't have that choppiness at 30 frames per second. And with a mouse, especially at long range, I just felt so accurate with hand cannons and with scout rifles.
I was going to say, I don't know if the game is, and it might be just a premature criticism, but what I got from PvE was that it didn't feel challenging in the slightest, and it could be partly because our power was more prevalent, our grenades were stronger, our supers were there, but the Destiny enemies on a console, you know, you need a little bit of aim to hit them, hit their precision target spots, you know. On this, they're slow-moving beasts with huge, you know, crit spots that you just couldn't miss. At least with a mouse. I don't know if you got that point there. I mean,
the Strike wasn't that challenging. I didn't think the Strike was that challenging on the console or on the PC. It was a little bit tedious on the console just because you had to stand there and fire at a guy's head for so long and then just like move on. Whereas the PC beta, you had more powerful weapons, so you definitely moved quicker. The challenge of Destiny comes from damage, right? It's like the enemies doing a ton of damage. And we, you know, that just wasn't there in the beta. There was one area where I died a few times where, like, you're in this like kind of round room and you gotta like get this bridge going, and there's a bunch of dogs that kind of come at you, and there's a bunch of guys with like the knives. That part could be a little tough. And then occasionally at the boss fight, like the third phase, could get a little overwhelming. But for the most part, yeah, I would say it was pretty easy on the console and on the PC.
Didn't have to aim down sights half the time with my with like, especially with a hand cannon. I mean, the reticle bloom didn't feel as drastic as it did before, but the frames felt really good. Like all the particle effects, like I love jumping into PvE and just cranking the settings up to max. looking around, was still getting on max settings 60 frames a second. That's all my monitor can handle, even though it was displaying that I was getting upwards of about 150. I could get to 200, but once I actually got into action, it dropped down to like the 150 range. But it was an experience, man, and it's got me really excited because a lot of the changes that they made that made us feel more powerful, like a sticky grenade on the boss, felt so good. I did like 1,000 damage with one grenade.
Yeah,
you know, and it's got me really excited for the console. It's, even though console is going to be 30, like it's still a really good 30. And I actually went back and played a little bit of Destiny 1 the other night, and it was like riding a bike, just right back to it. You know, like it didn't really affect me at all.
So I have a question. I didn't get a chance to see the PC beta. I was sick, but it sounds amazing.
Not sick enough, man. Not sick enough.
Damn it, Briar. I mean, you know, those crabs, man, they're just they don't stop. You know, even with the steel wool, they stayed there. But this game sounds like it's definitely, it has the wings to be playable for a year at least.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like once the PC version comes out, console gamers are more than likely, if they have a gaming PC, are going to migrate to that to play this game as a main system. Do you guys think that you'll be kind of dipping back into the console version, or do you think you'll be on the PC as your mainstay and kind of forget the PS4 or the Xbox One offerings?
PS4 will be my main.
So
not only for like friends lists or whatever, but for clan reasons as well. Resolute's made it pretty clear that, like, you know, they're a console clan. You can go play on PC, all that stuff, but like the community is going to stay on PlayStation. But even before getting into Resolute, that was our plan to begin with, because that's where our friends list is. It's tempting. I really want to go play as much as I can on PC, but man, once I put a couple months into time on the console, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be a wrap. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be there.
Well, no, it's going to be hard for me to switch over to PC once I've put all that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyway. Yeah.
So my question here is, do you think it would have been a completely different circumstance? Because I guess I'm in a similar boat in the sense that I'm starting on PlayStation begrudgingly, but I'll be there on September 6th.
Dude, you know, we got 4 people and Trials comes out in just 2 weeks.
I know.
Trials team.
I'll definitely be there.
I'm down, man. I can't wait.
Better start grinding.
Gary's fitting to carry.
I will drop your ass like a hot potato, Beastly, if you're not max level.
I know, Briar. I know. Shit.
I mean, do you think that there would be a different narrative if, you know, we could look through our magical ball and all of the versions had dropped simultaneously? Would you be starting on PS4?
No, I would not. I would be starting on the PC. I would be starting on the PC because I am a streamer, because I am a content creator, and I want to make content that looks as good as it can. And if I can upload a video that's in 4K 60 frames per second, you know, and that makes my content look a little better to the people watching, that's better, right? I will say, though, that even if I started on PC, the PS4 would be, I would be very quick to get on the PS4 and start grinding, because I'm a content creator and I want to see those PS4 exclusives, you know, like that's a big part of it. Also, most of my friends are on PS4 and I'm going to want to play PS4.
I'd be, if it was the same, if they were both releasing on the same day, I would still be doing PlayStation 4. Mainly, I want to run through the campaign with Sam. We had a really good time doing that for Rise of Iron. So to actually have like a vanilla story to go through, kind of, well, not really vanilla, but you know what I mean, like a new game story to go through, we're pretty excited about that.
So are we. Kate and I can't wait actually to play through the campaign together. Maybe we'll double date with you guys, Wilson. Who knows?
Let's do it.
I'll tell you, I've been like kind of plotting out my week, because as we know, Bungie actually came out and said the raid is releasing 1 week after release, right? And I'll be with the Destiny Community Podcast crew trying to complete that raid first, right? We're gonna go for that race again. We're gonna go into a blind raid as soon as it releases again and give it a shot. And that's a week to get from 0 to, you know, max level, or as high as close as you can get to max level, completely geared up for a raid. And you know, I like to bitch about it. It's too much. It's too hard. But I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm looking
that
forward
sounds
to that
like
grind,
too
man.
much. God, bro.
1 week. 1 week.
1 week from 0 to hero.
Yeah.
Your week is going to be fucked. I mean, just right fucked on those 7 days
Right?
on your calendar, because that's a lot, man. That's a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of investment. And I guess, if you want that big payoff, you got to put in hours. But geez, your week is screwed, my friend.
I'm hiring. I'm gonna go to the local labor depot and hire a few people to help me grind. So I could sleep.
You're going to sleep for like 48 hours on release. It's going to be really hard for me to go to sleep.
It's going to be like that episode of South Park where Cartman was playing his little MMO and he asked his mom to bring him food and she put a bucket behind his chair so he could lean forward and shit, and then he'd just eat right there. I can see it
Still
now, Mr. Rabbit bringing the big ass bucket down.
Public restrooms still better than the restrooms in this country.
What about you guys want to talk a little bit about PvP with how that felt a little different?
Yeah.
Did you jump into any PvP, Gary?
That's all I did. So I had to. I tried to exit out the story, and it just made me restart the story, which was really frustrating. But you have to actually complete that first mission to get into the PvP. And the reason that I wasn't that fussed on the PvE, being frank, is that I only had 4 hours. I arrived back in the UK and had like 4 hours to play. So that was kind of like my my thing. So all I did was just go straight into the Crucible and play that. And my God, what a difference. Because I'd say 75-80% of my time in Destiny is Crucible. That's all I play. And I've played it keyboard and mouse for years. That's all I've done. I can't play controller. I'll attest to that. And it was like a different game entirely. And I know it is a different game, but at the same time, it felt like I was playing a game that was designed to work on PC, that there was a shitty console port at 30 frames per second of, as opposed to it being a 30 frames game.
Look at him, Wilson. Wilson, like, this fucking guy.
I don't know if anyone else got that, though. It didn't feel like I was playing a console game with a keyboard and mouse. It felt like I was playing a PC game.
Well, none of us play console games with a keyboard and mouse, so
yeah.
Well, they said it wasn't going to be a port. You know what I mean? It was its own separate build. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that reflects in it. Like personally, I felt like I kind of talked with some friends about this earlier in the week on RezoCast, but we had said that there was something off about the console beta with PvP, and the changes that they've put forward from what I played on the PC beta, it felt more like Destiny 1 in the Crucible. Like I was pulling off, it took a little bit more finesse, but I was pulling off 1v3s, 1v2s, team wipes. Like that was very, very rare in the console beta. And I felt like it was just a little touch that it needed to kind of make you feel a little bit more powerful without overdoing it and making it like Spam City, But
I got a
it felt
question
fantastic.
For you, Wilson. Is the team shooting aspect of the game still like a priority in PvP? And also, do you get more supers? Because during the console beta, you got one super per round, and you really couldn't get more than one ever, no matter what you did. And to me, that was one aspect of Destiny 1 that was really changed in Part 2, and that's something I'd like to see changed. The team shooting aspect, where 3 or 4 people shooting at one person to get him out of the game really fast, it seems pretty cool, but everybody can't be there all the time. So has that aspect changed, and what are your thoughts on actually having your supers more often?
Yeah, you do get your super more often. There was actually one game I got my super 3 times because we were going around collecting orbs. You know what I mean? Like that's not common. You got to be
having a hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Yes, you and your team. It was with Briar, actually. We were running around having a damn good time, man. Just picking up orbs, doing supers. As far as team shooting goes, like obviously team shooting is always going to be the most effective way to take down an opponent. With the PC beta, I don't really know if it was changes that they had made or if it was the map design, because the map design that we had for the console beta, in my opinion, it was just wide open, very wide open. I mean, people are going to be coming around from every angle, all the actions on B. And this one, it was definitely a lot more spread out. There was definitely your clustered indoor areas, and then they had like an open outdoor long range area. And yeah, team shots were still king, but like I said, like if you played it correctly and used your abilities right, man, you could just run through people, man. Like, and it felt really good because I'm all about like not all about it, but like everyone likes to see a solo clutch, you know, a 1v3, you know, you're outnumbered, you're the underdog, and you end up playing skillfully and pulling through with the win, you know. And we were having a damn good time, and I was playing on controller because I don't give a shit, and this is what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and give you one, chat. Go ahead, here you go, meme it up. Let's see your best memes in Discord.
Wilson is
There
a
you go. I
thug.
gave you one.
I love it, Wilson. You're the fucking man.
I gotta
Stand
say, playing with a controller felt fucking awesome. Like it felt like Destiny. And I will also say there was compared to the console beta, the level of competition was lower, right? There was the quick play matchmaking, the skill-based matchmaking got toned down in there. So you weren't constantly just playing people who had exactly the same ELO as you, right? So like there were quite a few blowouts that we had. And then there was also some matches that were really tough. We even lost one.
By 2 points.
But
who's counting? I'm not paying.
And also, we were playing, you know, when we played on the console beta, we were playing a population that had been playing Destiny for 3 years. Whereas on the PC beta, there were certainly people who were doing that and came over to the PC beta, but there was also people who were brand new to the game, didn't know exactly how grenades worked, didn't know how the supers worked, and you could see that in their movement, right? You could see that, you know, a lot of people were brand new to the game.
Almost like
But I mean, it felt. I don't know if you guys had that same perspective, but it could be the builds. I don't think it was just the map, but it felt like a different game. The sandbox in Destiny 2 console beta, it really had me concerned for the game. God, that thing triggers me when I see it. The sandbox had me concerned for the game, whereas this one had me excited to play the game. Like the way that Destiny 2 played on the console, it didn't have me very hyped for what we were going to have. Do you feel like it was, you know, that the console beta was maybe a poor representation of the final product, whereas this is far closer to what it is we're going to see?
Maybe. I haven't actually looked at like damage numbers on what weapons were doing in the console beta compared to the PC beta, but I think it'd be worth looking at because, you know, it didn't feel like I had to be part of, you know, I didn't have to group shot to get a kill. I felt like I was much more able to lone wolf around the map and be successful with that. But I didn't actually look at what the weapons were doing as far as damage.
Well, it just felt like a 4-shot hand cannon. It's still a 4-shot hand cannon, but my shots were all connecting. Whereas on the console, I was hitting at medium range, which is where the hand cannon's effective.
They did make some changes after, you know, based on feedback from the console beta, and they said that those changes, a lot of those changes would be reflected in the PC beta and then in the final game. So we'll have to see though, because they are going to have slightly different metas, right? Bungie's come out and said that the PC beta or the PC version of Destiny and the console version of Destiny may feel a little bit different.
And Gary, another thing to take into account. Now, I haven't played the PC version, but betas, for the most part, are ways for developers to tweak and fine tune their product. And you know, initially with the console beta, there was a lot of complaints and people felt that certain things needed to be tweaked, and that was reflected in the PC version. So I don't think that it was a poor representation. It was probably just the first representation of what they were going to put out for a beta. And as time goes on, developers change things, tweak them for the better. And it sounds like, at least from what Briar says, these changes will be reflected in the final product on consoles as well. So
yeah, I know Gary was making fun of my video a little bit earlier, but I'm not fucking around that the PC beta did make me more excited for the console release because of the changes they made between the console beta and the PC beta. Like the game feels more fun to me now than it did during the last beta.
Like I watched that video, and actually hearing you say that on your video was the thing that got me more excited for the console version. When you announced these changes and the fact that they were coming to the console version, that really got me hyped. And today, listening to Wilson stand up for the console peasants, thank you, sir. I feel really good about playing this on my PS4 now.
They want to ban us, Beastly. They want to kick us off. They want to take the aim assist off of the controllers. We're OP.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
I just want to point out that I was using an Xbox 360 controller.
Still the best controller ever made.
Yeah, Gary, cover your ears. My buddy was using a Mad Catz 360 controller.
Mad Catz.
Shitting on people. Just shitting on them.
We were rolling, man. We were rolling hard. It was fun.
It was fun, and it is an
Gary is
issue.
not liking that shit.
It is an issue. It's a topic of hot debate, and something definitely needs to happen with it. But I'm not going to offer any solution until then. I'm just going to use whatever and don't apologize. So
yeah.
I mean, that video I said to you earlier, Briar, but you saying that playing the greatest version of Destiny has made you more excited to play the 30 frames per second, old car that's sitting on the driveway. That reeked to me of a guy coming back from a bachelor party in Vegas and talking to his wife, how was the trip? And you're like, it was nice, but it's nice to be home too sometimes, it's good to be sitting here. I don't need to be at the strip bar at 9 a.m., having the all-you-can-eat buffet and gambling all night, drinking and having fun with my buddies. It's nice to be at home. Where's the yard? Let me cut it. That's the tone that you set, I think.
What a fucking asshole this guy is. What is this fucking guy? Holy shit.
You're basically saying all the hookers in Vegas make you miss home, eventually make you appreciate home more. Is that what you're saying?
No, he's saying that being a good husband and a good man sucks. You need to be out there dropping 20s on AIDS-ridden strippers. Damn,
there were a lot of hookers per second over there in Vegas. I'm not going to lie.
200 was it?
200.
They said unlimited.
Yeah, they did say unlimited. They said unlimited. I only got 200 hookers per second. It was a little disappointing, if I must be honest.
My monitor can only handle 60, so.
Damn.
I gotta say though, I am really looking forward to Tuesday. It's gonna be a ton of fun. But I think we should start getting to our other topics because it is.
This can go all night.
We got 5 more topics and we got an hour and 15 minutes to blow through them.
I think we're capable. I think we can do it. If anyone can, this crack team can. So let's go for it.
All right. So
right in.
Who's next?
So talking about all this, PC and console stuff like that, how would you feel about if like Sony and Microsoft did crossplay? Because they've actually been talking about it recently, and Microsoft has confirmed that they're actually talking to Sony about it. What do you guys think about that? You think Sony's going to agree? Like, of course, in my opinion, Microsoft's talking to them about it because, it would definitely benefit them more. But in the long run, it would benefit all the gamers more than anything, But what do you guys think? Sony's going to jump on that? Or do you think they're going to give them the cold shoulder?
I don't know. I feel like Microsoft's been talking about this for years, and Sony's been giving them the cold shoulder. Like, Microsoft's been on this bandwagon. Yeah, we're in second place. Let's do crossplay. It'll be fun. And Sony's been like, no.
Fuck you. Yeah.
That's kind of bullshit.
Nintendo is actually on this crossplay bandwagon as well with games like Minecraft, and it's crossplay with PC and Xbox. And after we've had this debate many times. We talked about this for at least the last 18 months. It feels. I don't think Sony will do it. I don't think Sony. Briar made it very clear to me. And once you hear the truth, it's like the Bible. You just know it's true. He said that Sony had no real reason to go forward with this kind of junction with Microsoft or Nintendo because they are too far in the lead, and it would diminish the possibility of potential gamers buying their console. The people playing on the Xbox can play it against their friends on the PlayStation 4. It negates the need for them to buy a PlayStation 4. And then at the end of the day, it's all about business. And I think that Sony is a company that's all about overhead and revenue. And they've shown that for many, many years, especially when it comes to their video games department of what they do in their gaming hardware and sales. I don't think that they have any motivation to move forward with any kind of crossplay with Nintendo or with Microsoft at this point.
Well, it's really all Sony's got going for them right now is their gaming platform. No one's buying their TVs. No one's buying their other shit. Yeah, and like it's really unfortunate because I think it'd obviously be like a super beneficial thing, right? Like if you could finally, what game are you? What console are you getting the game for? It would completely squash that. You know what I mean? But like Microsoft, like it sucks that they're coming to Sony about it and willing to work with them about it. And I agree with you. I feel like they're probably going to give them the cold shoulder on it. And
they're going to give them that hard D and tell them to get the hell out of here. There's really no reason for them to do it. And I understand your perspective because I feel the same way. I think it'd be awesome, to turn on my Xbox and play, my sons. I got Mortal Kombat X in here on my Xbox. They have it on their PlayStation 4. To be able to play against them, cross-platform would be amazing to me. It'd be really cool. But at the end of the day, these console developers, these companies Sony has no real reason to do this with Microsoft. And if the tables were turned, if Microsoft was ahead 30 million plus, there would be no way they would even be considering something like this because they want to hold on to that lead. They want to do whatever it took that got them that lead and continue on that path versus potentially change it and stunt their growth. And I think that's what would happen. If you got people with the Xbox and they've been waiting all year to get a PlayStation for Christmas, and then all of a sudden they can play against people on the PlayStation, they don't need to buy a PlayStation.
Or if they can play
Christmas time.
Co-op games with their friends, we've got multiple people probably in chat right now. I see them in chat right now that I hardly ever play with because they're on the Xbox. If I could just boot up my PlayStation, they could boot up their Xbox, and we could play Destiny together. We could raid together. God, I'd be so happy if we could do that because I wouldn't have to just grind another character on the Xbox just so I could play with, those people. You know what I mean? It's like, God, it would be so good if that happened, but I just don't see
a bit of perspective. So a bit of perspective on it, though. I mean, it's not just PlayStation. So you look at Sony and say, "Oh, Sony's ahead." Exclusively in the console space, absolutely, I agree. They are outselling Xbox 2-1, but you got to think of Microsoft or Windows as a platform. Microsoft have got that in their back pocket. Microsoft aren't this like losing puppy that we should be pitying and thinking, oh, why can't they work? Games like PUBG, Dota, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, none of them are on PlayStation. They're sitting on a Microsoft platform. That's what they're being played on.
They're getting played on a Microsoft platform, but they're not getting sold by Microsoft, right? They're on a Valve platform, right? I mean, yeah, you play them in Windows, but if you had a chance to fucking use any other operating system in the world, you'd gladly take it and still keep Steam. You'd be so happy, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that there's a platform that's owned by Microsoft that all of this is available on. Sony, I guess inadvertently, because they've got such a controlled ecosystem, make revenue on the games there. But I don't know the intricacies of the business. I don't know if Valve has to have a backhander into Microsoft to operate on their platform or on their thing. I don't know. I don't know where the money goes. But I'm just making the point that PC, which is a Microsoft platform, or Windows, which is a Microsoft platform, it's not the kind of the lame duck of gaming. They've still got a predominant large part of the market that only play PC.
It's they say with their go ahead, Briar.
It's much more murky waters over on the PC. You're playing on Windows, but you're basically, as far as the gamer's concerned, it's just the shit that makes your computer start up. So you can go to Steam and download a game, or go to Blizzard and download a game, and then just take over the full screen of the game and not have to worry about it being Windows anymore. If the Steam box idea had taken off, or if Linux was easier to use, or if Mac could game, I think people would gladly abandon Windows because it's been so shitty for so long. It's a bad experience. Windows is a bad experience. I'm not gonna fucking it's just like it's terrible.
I love Windows, but I don't use it for as many things as you do. Like, you do a lot of content creation, so I can understand the frustration with Windows for sure.
Gary, do you think it's a possibility that Sony would, fold to the pressure? I know there's a lot of gamers who play PlayStation who've appealed to Sony to do certain things for years. Stuff like allowing us to change our PSN names and even doing this cross-play idea. Do you think that Sony is maybe thinking about it, possibly doing it with Xbox or Nintendo, or do you think there's really no way that they would go forward with it?
I think that if it is ever done, it will be done on a game-by-game basis. I don't think it'll be an open architecture. I think it makes sense for us from a commercial perspective to open up this game to crossplay.
There are games that do it now, right? Final Fantasy 14 is crossplay on PlayStation, isn't it?
Yeah, with PC.
It is with Microsoft. Well, with a PC, so it's with Microsoft.
And Rocket
platform.
League, is that
Rocket
League
crossplay
too,
on
yeah.
PS4
Rocket
as well?
League's crossplay, and Microsoft's talking about cross-playing with Nintendo on Rocket League. So that's pretty huge, man. Rocket League is huge. Like, that is a very big game, and people don't really seem to have many complaints about the crossplay in that. But like, do you guys think that like crossplay needs to happen for both the success of Microsoft, or maybe even like the future?
Well, if they're gonna do it, they got to remove
gaming?
aim assist from controllers. I mean, it's overpowered in Rocket League.
The hell.
I think that. Do you know what though? That looping back onto that topic, I don't care how much aim assist you got in your controller. I'm still going to destroy you if I'm using a mouse and keyboard. Let's be honest. It's I think it's bad mouse and keyboard players that are complaining.
We'll find
about
out.
Like, all I know is I've been reading like the Bungie forums. I've been reading the Bungie forums and Reddit, and people are pretty upset about controllers having aim assist on the PC.
Just saying, you guys talk all this big game the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we'll destroy you guys. We show up on the scene, and all I see is a bunch of bruised butts going home.
Oh shit, Wilson! Yeah,
It's fine.
Thug life, Wilson.
You walk around a controller slowly and you watch them telegraph around as they're hitting their stick slowly. It's just a primitive form of controlling a game. I'll give you that.
I'm gonna get a holster for this thing.
Get it, Wilson. I don't think that crossplay is paramount for the success of Microsoft. I think it's probably another gimmick they could use similar to their backwards compatibility initiative. I think it's something that makes them look good to the gamers, but I don't think it will really change the dynamic of their success. I think Microsoft, in order for them to have sustained success, they need to have sustainable exclusives. They need to have more games that people can only play on their consoles. That's the one area that Microsoft falls behind on. They do have, a few notable titles, but not very many. And when you see what's going on with their competition, there's game after game after game after game being released that you can only play on PlayStation. That's the issue that Microsoft is having. If they have more meaningful exclusives, better crafted games, I think that's what will be paramount to their success. And I think stuff like this cross-play initiative and, being able to play backwards compatible games really is a non-factor.
Well, they've said that it's not about the platform, it's about the software before, you know what I mean? So that was kind of like their, what was that Microsoft Play Anywhere program or whatever, that's pretty huge too. But like, they definitely stated that, they want to focus on the software.
They need to.
And then they release the One X. But hey, just saying.
All right.
We got to talk about the One X sometime because I give like the smallest shit about that thing now. But that's a topic for another week.
The what?
My wife asked me the what?
One X, the Xbox One X. I give zero craps about that. That's a topic for another
He's
week.
still thinking Scorpio. He's still.
She asked me today, was I going to pre-order? I said that thing is pretty much already sold out, and there's no real reason for me to get it right now. So maybe in the future.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem with it right now. I want one, but I want one after they release a bunch of fucking badass
games
software
for it.
Yeah.
And they showed Tomb Raider.
And I'm not talking about just like pro versions of current games that are out. I really want to. Yeah.
Right.
What's next? What else we got for topics this week?
We got is Twitch going to topple the internet, starting with YouTube? So I'm sure if you guys have heard lately, YouTube's been kind of dropping the ball a little bit, not really kind of been taking care of their family. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like they're kind of pushing everybody away or trying to get them to go to a different platform. And it seems like Twitch could potentially be the one all end all content creator platform, like where YouTube says, no, we're not going to do that. Twitch says, yeah, man, we'll do it. Twitch really seems to be picking up all the slack that YouTube's leaving behind. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if you guys feel the same way. I'm sure Briar and Beasley will have some pretty big thoughts on YouTube currently.
I think that it's definitely a major factor in the future of YouTube. Inner Black Ninja, I'm heavily considering my YouTube diss track. I've actually been really thinking about it. They have been banning and marking tons and tons of videos as, not advertiser friendly.
Is that still happening to you?
Yeah, it's still. I mean, I've gotten a ton of emails at this point. They've reversed, quite a few of them, but there are some that they came back and manually reviewed and still said it's not. I was like, what? How the hell is this possible? So it's infuriating. All the effort you put into something like a YouTube channel to have them,
Have you picked up on a pattern yet?
No, Briar, there isn't. I heard that, all capital letters and all kinds of stuff. It just hasn't been any kind of pattern for me.
So from what I read is that there's some things that trigger it, right? Is all caps in the title could trigger it. Violent images in the thumbnail, any kind of reference to guns, weapons, killing, death, any kind of reference like that in the title can trigger it, right? It'll get it up for review. And then once it's up for review, then you're stuck in the review process, right? So what I've been trying to do lately, and it's been pretty successful so far, is trying to not trigger it. You know, like I don't put pictures of weapons in the thumbnail unless, you know, it's kind of like a real sci-fi kind of looking thing. I don't put references to weapons, to guns, to murder, to kill, you know, anything like that. I try to stay away from the trigger words in the title, and so far it's been working pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than likely going to do that now. I got my teleprompter, so, you know, I can really put a lot of deliberate thought into my words, my titles, and my thumbnails. Hopefully it works better for me in the future. But on to the topic, I think Twitch is the place that a lot of people are going to. You know, I said it myself. Briar, you're already there, that Twitch is looking more and more like the place for me. They have much more freedom. You're able to do a lot more on Twitch versus YouTube. And, you know, you don't feel penalized by, you know, for creating content that you think is quality content. And so I think I've heard lots of YouTubers in the last 2 weeks. I've watched tons of videos of YouTubers in the last 2 weeks who said, this is my last video. I'm going over to VidMe. I'm going over to Twitch. So I think, honestly, YouTube is killing itself slowly at this point.
But do you think that YouTube has the monopoly, something that can't be toppled? Because
I'll tell you what they have.
Yeah.
And this is why, you know, as a content creator, if you want to make videos, which is I highly doubt ever going to take over, they have Google. They have the Google search, the Google search algorithm. YouTube is more than just a video hosting service. It's the world's second largest search engine behind Google. So if you want to put up a video that you want to see get viewed, you want Google search to take that. And they clearly put a priority into YouTube videos over any other video delivery service, right? So if I'm super excited about mice and I want to do a review of a mouse, I'm going to say I want to do a review of this Logitech MX Master mouse, and I put it on Twitch and I put it on YouTube. Guess which video is going to get way more views?
Yeah,
YouTube video, because Google is serving that YouTube video up.
It is,
great,
but like
point.
I see a lot of I've talked to a lot of people about this, and they're like, I don't watch non-live content on Twitch. I come to Twitch for live content. But if they keep dropping the ball like this, a lot of people aren't going to have any other choice. So like if you want to see your person's videos and they only start uploading them to Twitch, I think naturally, like you're not going to get the amount of views, the amount of numbers and stuff like that you normally would on YouTube. But eventually a majority of the people that actually want to see your videos would go there to see them. Like if I knew that was the only place that I could you know, watch the videos that I like to watch on YouTube that are now on Twitch, like that's where I'm gonna go. And Twitch feels like they want people. YouTube feels like they're fucking up on purpose just to push people away.
Yeah, it does feel like this, but this is one aspect of this conundrum you have to think about. There are two types of people on YouTube. They're content creators and they're content consumers. And a lot of content creators are pissed off. The consumers really aren't. The consumers don't have to contend with these issues. All they do is search, find a video, and watch it. So those people have really no reason to go anywhere else. A lot of them don't even hear about the issues that people who are creating content are going through, for the most part. And you can always go there to find another video on the same topic over and over again. So until it branches out to the people who are watching the content, to the people who are looking for content, it's really YouTube has it. You know, as many of us get pissed off about YouTube's algorithm, this draconian, system that they have in place, we're going to leave, but we're like, you know, drops in the bucket compared to what remains on YouTube. And those people who are consuming content versus the ones who are creating it outnumber us a billion to one.
Yeah, like a lot of people though, as a consumer though, like they don't have a problem with it until they can't consume anymore. And like I know that a lot of us, like especially a lot of people in the chat, we're a rare breed of YouTube consumer where like, yeah, we like to get the information, but like we also like the personality behind the video and the person that's actually there's
that
a bond
comes
there.
Later though, right? Like you got to get that initial view. You like when you're especially as a small content creator, when you're like, you know, when you've got 0 subscribers, you're putting your first videos up, like you literally get 0 views on those first videos for days, maybe weeks, right? You know, once you have 100 subscribers, maybe there's like this 10% rule on YouTube.
10%, right?
When you have 100 subscribers, you can expect 10 views on a video. When you have 1,000 subscribers, you can expect 100 views. When you have 10,000, you can expect 1,000. Like it 10% rule. And it's weird like that, but it's super hard. Like, imagine if you were trying to build that audience up on Twitch by doing VODs. It's not going to happen. You know, it's not the audience isn't there on Twitch. And on VidMe, I look at their top videos of the day over on VidMe. They got 100 views.
Yeah. It's really, really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the trending videos, bro. They have like 500 views.
Yeah.
I've seen the highest one that had like 1,100 views.
Yeah, I started posting my videos over to VidMe and to Twitch, and I actually like doing it on Twitch, so I'm going to keep doing it on Twitch because I feel like it's kind of supplemental content, you know? If people like me on Twitch, it's like another avenue that they can check out. But VidMe it's kind of rough over there. There's just not enough people watching them, you know? I'd probably still keep posting.
Yeah, I guess like if YouTube completely sort of excommunicated gaming from their repertoire, I don't think it's going to massively hurt them. If I'm completely honest,
they're not focused on it. They are focused on having, you know, the Jimmy Fallons of the world and the, you know, like they're focused on YouTube TV, where they're actually taking live TV and broadcasting it on YouTube, and they're focused on YouTube Red, where people are creating like real original programming, you know, Netflix style or Amazon style for YouTube. Their focus is not on what built YouTube up. Their focus is in the future, I believe, on trying to become much more like a Netflix or type of model or a network type of model.
Yeah, and I mean, from a commercial perspective, again, I'm going to take the cold, heartless view of the corporation here. You can't blame them for what they're doing. I mean, if you're a legitimate business who's trying to attract advertisers, if there's even, they flag 10,000 videos inappropriately, but they pick 10 of those that are racist, you know, xenophobic, aggressive videos that should be flagged properly. If you have to get 10,000 ones that are borderline to hit the 10 that are going to be offensive, you know, like you said, Jimmy Fallon's never going to put out something that's going to get flagged for being racist, offensive videos, and you're going to get 15 million views in 24 hours. So why would you not focus on those guys?
You can totally see why they're doing it. But there are people who, you know, their audience was built by the people watching content creators, you know, traditionally. I don't know if that audience will move on, or if it's going to get bored with the YouTube style of thing, and maybe it will emigrate over to Twitch and a more live streaming kind of service. Twitch is a lot of fun. Live streaming is a ton of fun. It's a hell of a lot. It's a different kind of work, I would say, than making YouTube videos. It's not, you know, Twitch can feel like work. It can feel like just playing video games. But it's not like you're just sitting there like, you know, writing a script and then editing a video for, you might spend 8 hours making a 7-minute video. You know, and that type of work doesn't really exist in Twitch. There is like the, you know, getting your scenes ready and getting your music ready. There's definitely back end work on Twitch for sure, but the bulk of the work on Twitch is playing video games and talking to your audience.
Right.
Easy work, man.
It's
so much compared to, you know, rendering videos and doing all that editing.
It's different, Beasley, and I think you should be careful about saying it's easy until you try to do an 8-hour block of stream.
With a needy chat. with a needy chat. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. We love you guys.
I guess that there's probably another perspective on it that would help us transition into the fourth topic that we've got, and that's that you say YouTube was built up by the community members that is kind of being ostracized, or the ones that are feeling the pinch most now. But do you think that YouTube has, I guess, been sullied in a way when you've got people like Keemstar and Drama Alert and people that go on there specifically to put controversial topics on there that have ruined the platform for the others? I guess Patreon at the moment is in danger of that very much so. And this is kind of our next topic, which was suggested by one of our viewers who posted a comment on the video. So Raymond Rodriguez was his name. And the comment was Patreon, the good, the bad, and the slutty. And I thought that was just such a good topic that we had to get
Nailed
into
it.
And Patreon's a great idea to let creative individuals get funded. You know, kind of like a GoFundMe for enterprise. Very different to Kickstarter in that it's a consistent funding, not a single goal. But there's a huge influx of cosplayers or just glamour models that are using Patreon now as a means to just, send semi-nude or fully nude pictures for registered subscribers. So it's effectively becoming a website for cam girls, and Patreon don't seem to be doing anything to curate this, and it's an ever-growing percentage. I mean, I know
Cam
because
girls
my
gotta
bank
make money
balance
too, man.
Yeah, I know. My
They gotta
bank
pay the
balance is
bills.
being affected
College ain't
pretty
free.
negatively.
Those boobs ain't gonna feed themselves.
But do we think it damages the platform in the same way that YouTube's now been damaged, and YouTube's obviously taken action over it? Are we concerned about the future of Patreon? What do we think about Patreon as it stands now, and what it stands to be in the future as a result?
Well, I don't know if we can, say that Patreon is actually the issue, the company itself, because people are going to support what they like. Sometimes it might be a cam girl who plays Dota who wears skimpy clothes, and you can see her areola. Some people will say, I'll pay $5 a month to see that shit. And Patreon I don't think that they're the moral police. I think that they are a company which allows consumers to pay or to support content creators if they enjoy their content. We saw this happen with Twitch, but Twitch had rules and guidelines, and they started to ban these girls, these cam girls who were showing their tacos, accidentally on Twitch. And so since they were violating Twitch's guidelines, they got actually banned and removed from the service. But I don't think, at least I haven't heard, that Patreon has these types of rules. And if they did, then maybe it would be up on them to, act or remove these types of accounts. But for the most part, if there's a cam girl and you're a guy who wants to give her $10 a month, and she shows you how big her boobs are accidentally, because it's always an accident, hell, pay her the $10 and support it.
Yeah, I think as long as everyone has money, they're gonna find a way to spend it. Whether like you said, they're gonna support what they love and enjoy. In my opinion, I like Patreon. I don't know, like, I guess like if you have a problem with Patreon, or like you're a content creator and you don't want to do Patreon, like I guess the next best thing would be to like have like a merch store or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I don't really see a problem with either one. Like I've definitely supported some Patreons before, like with some content creators, and like it's in a really sticky situation right now.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, like this is what they do for a living, and if I can contribute, even if it's just a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, I mean, it's not really a big deal. I see where you're getting at though with the good, bad, and the slutty. I mean, there's other websites where they can do that. You know what I mean? Like, I think like legitimately a lot of the people that are doing that kind of stuff, like they do like video games, but they also like know how to kind of work the system, and they know that a lot of, nerdy, potentially single men are watching, craving for attention and things like that. But I don't know, man.
My wife calls me nerdy and potentially single.
Damn. Shit.
Well said. Right on time too, man. That's awesome.
Damn.
I guess that it's more about, okay, Patreon's not got the best search or indexing feature at the moment. If you try to find someone, unless you know their name, it's really difficult to find or browse for potential people that you might be interested on Patreon. I've tried it on the mobile and the desktop site. And the more people that you get in that have literally no affiliation to the site, they're not really content creators, they're not artists, they're not creative individuals, they're just promiscuous, which is fine. Like I said, if you want to do that, you do that. But like you said, Wilson, there's platforms that are specifically designed for that. Whereas Patreon's now being, like I said, the influx of them, if you look at the newest patrons that are added each day, 8 out of 10 of them are going to be these sorts of channels, which are just, it tends to be, I think Asia's caught onto it because there's a lot of Asian women that are now doing this. Mm-hmm. And it's just really making it difficult to find legitimate people that are trying to use Patreon unless they've already got a platform somewhere else that are funneling traffic to their patron. It's difficult to get noticed and get the support that you need.
I think that you're possibly seeing this the wrong way, Gary. These girls, cam girls, whatever you want to call them, these slutty patrons. For me, at least, the people who are supporting them, I don't think they'd be supporting another patron if these girls weren't, around for them to support. I don't think that taking money away from these. I think that they have a particular audience, and I don't think if they disappeared from Patreon, this audience would go and support another Patreon user who is building robotic cars. everyone has their own particular audience, and I think there's an audience for this. Whether it's morally right, that's another argument, but it's business. Patreon is doing what it's set out to do, which is allowing people who create content, whether we like the content or not, it's still content. These girls might be floozies wearing shoestrings for an entire outfit. But they're sitting there playing a video game. Yeah. I'm old, man.
No, I think you make a good point, man. Like, and I don't think it's more of like they're taking advantage of people on Patreon, because you make a valid point. Like, people are gonna find a way to give those girls money. I think it's much easier. I think it's much easier to set up a Patreon and get more exposure by saying Patreon is a word that a lot of people know. Like, I know some people haven't heard of Patreon. It's basically just a way to support somebody doing anything that they want to do. It's just your way of supporting them, sending them money. I feel like it's just a platform for them to get their name out there more as, I mean, because like, look at it this way. Would you rather set up a Patreon, or would you rather just set up a website and randomly email people, hey, PayPal me $100 and we'll chat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to get your name out there on Patreon, and Patreon is probably got some sort of algorithm with Google, you know what I mean? Like, or Yahoo or all the other search engines. And I think it's just much more exposure for these people. But I think you nailed it on the head, man. These people are going to send those kind of people money regardless of what platform they're on.
Everyone has an audience, yeah. And that audience is there for that.
Yeah, they're there for they're there for what they want to see, and that's kind of the point of Patreon. I think it's kind of hard to take money from other people because people are going there for what they want to go there for.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you want to see a girl with TNA playing, League of Legends and talking like her brain's the size of a acorn, and you want to give her $5 a month or $10 a month, and she disappears, you're not going to go and watch a guy build Transformers and give him that $5. You're going to find another girl who does that. That's the world we live in. People enjoy that kind of stuff. We're human beings, it's human nature. And like I said, it might be morally corrupt, to see this kind of stuff on Patreon. But Patreon ultimately is a service which allows people to pay for content. And whether we like the content or not, it's content to someone. They're creating something for someone, and they're uploading it to video sharing sites, YouTube, Twitch, wherever they might be sharing it. And Patreon's really doing what it's supposed to be doing here. Briar, how do you feel, Briar? You haven't said anything about this.
I have literally given Patreon like no thought in my life. So I'm like listening to you guys talk about it and learning, basically. I agree with a lot of what you said, Beastly. It's like, it seems to me that if people want it and people are willing to provide it, and this is a pretty good way of going about it. And that goes for, the sexy stuff, and it goes for anything. If somebody's doing something that you really want in the future, and you want to support it, it seems like a good way to go. I know there's like a stigma about it right now, but I don't know, it seems like a fair transaction to me.
I mean, I feel like there's bigger problems out there with like Kickstarter and GoFundMe. What was the one? The
Kickstarter. I tried to get my VR goggles on Kickstarter, and they said they literally sent me an email that said "fuck you."
Bold, underline,
that's 2 iPhones and some styrofoam, asshole.
What was the one Kickstarter where the guy did like a salad? Did you guys remember that? The salad Kickstarter?
Yeah.
And the guy made like $250,000.
Yeah.
He's like, if you pledge this much, I'll live stream making the salad, the fruit salad. That's what it was. It was fruit salad. Or if you pledge this much, I'll go somewhere and you guys can come visit me and we'll all eat the fruit salad together and all that stuff. And this shit went viral. And I feel like I said, people are going to donate to what they want to donate to, but I feel like shit like that is more taking the attention away from like actual ideas, things that could potentially benefit people, or taking the light away from yet another cash grab.
People are attracted to ridiculousness, Wilson. People are,
Yeah.
It's a good idea for everybody for people to be just, on point and thinking about progression in life. But a lot of people get, drained by the norm. And when they see something outlandish, they want to be a part of it. They want to support it. They want to, touch it. They want to hear it. And that's what happens with these kind of stories. People just want something that falls outside the realm of normalcy and just makes things grandiose. and crazy. And sometimes people who have, some people have what they consider boring lives, and to be able to be on the internet and be a part of something crazy like that, a lot of people will jump at that opportunity.
That's a good point.
Okay, I think we've settled it then. Cam girls win.
Absolutely.
They're here to stay, Gary.
Areola.
Here to stay.
I remember, is it more when I first joined Twitch and I was kind of familiarizing myself with it, is there was a lot of talk about how, the cam girls would get on Twitch and like, because they were showing, cleavage and stuff, they'd immediately get a bunch of views and a bunch of subs. And that, like, real quick, it was explained that actually they're not even like looking for the same audience you are, right? It's like the people who are watching a cam girl are not even, they're not at all interested in what you're doing. Like it's just because like it's a weird thing, like thinking about it. But the people who are upset that, cam girls are getting a bunch of money on Patreon, they think they're sucking up all the Patreon money. That's not what's happening. They're not taking your money. That money was going to porn in some way or fashion.
Yep.
Somehow.
Yeah, like when I show up to a Twitch chat.
This is just the vector it's headed.
Yeah. Yep. When I show up to a Twitch chat, it's very much for the community. How is everyone doing today? What's everyone been up to? What's everyone doing in the world of Destiny?
Yeah.
Those kind of things, those people are showing up, and they're not really there for the chat, the community. No, they're there for their own needs.
I love the layers of money laundering and filtration of the pornography industry. It was going to hit street level at some point. We're just, there's
the porn industry has been savaged by, free porn on the internet. That's actually fascinating. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast about it. It must have been 2 weeks ago. He had a guest on who did a documentary about how the advent of YouPorn had basically savaged the pornography industry. And while it sounds like, this is a shady, kind of thing to be talking and learning about, it was actually fascinating how this one guy came in and basically created a website and just wiped out an industry. Like a complete industry is just gone now. Like, man, it's pretty fascinating.
It's an interesting topic. Do you ever catch any of, I don't know if you see him in the States, but Louis Theroux does like documentaries. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff.
That might have been the guy who was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Louis Theroux, British guy. Yeah. He went to this is where he got his source material. So he did Louis Theroux Does Porn. He didn't actually do it. He went and spent a week going through the industry, and he did this in the early 2000s and went around and saw the lifestyle they live and saw what they did and how they lived. And he went back 10 years later after the advent of it and saw like the destitution, like you say. It was just like, what had happened and the lives people were living post on from it. Yeah, it was fascinating stuff. Yeah, I'd advise all our viewers to do all your own individual research tonight.
There's no way to talk about this subject without giggling for me. It was just, I'm too immature.
Listen, Gary, I've done enough research for a lifetime. All right, so the next topic is one that really touches me and probably my other hosts as well on some level. I know, Briar, you're one of the guys that feels the same way. Are we lying to ourselves about getting back to our video game backlogs?
Yeah, totally.
This is a real issue for me, okay? It seems that more often than not, we've all said we're going to go back to our video game gyms only to go out and buy the latest and greatest new video games. I have a ton of games I haven't played. I've so many games I probably put 5 or 10 minutes into. But I'm constantly being buried under an avalanche of new content. Just recently, within the last couple of days, I bought new PlayStation VR games. I bought a new adventure game. I bought Sonic Mania. I got Uncharted, the new one, and haven't played it at all. I bought some new games. I got Gears of War 4 for my Xbox One because I hadn't played that. But there's literally 50 to 70 games I still haven't played. And why I constantly say it to you guys, the viewers, to my friends and co-hosts, I'm going to get back to this game. It seems impossible to ever do it because there's new things like Destiny 2 coming. Yeah. I know once that game comes out, Uncharted, I haven't even played it yet. I know that's going to fall further and further into the backlog. I'm really enjoying Sonic Mania. It's the best Sonic I've probably played since Sonic CD. It's
Is that
incredible.
on the Switch? Can I buy that on the
It's
Switch?
it's on the Switch for $20, and it's on PS4 and Xbox One for the same price. And the Switch is 1080p. PS4 Pro is a 4K rendition of the game, Briar. And I got it on PS4 because, of course, my wife game shares with me. But it
4K
is
version of a 8-bit game.
It looks
16-bit
incredible,
game?
Briar.
Okay.
It looks incredible. It was actually crafted by, I don't know the guy's name, but he was the one who was doing all the mods to the old Sonic games on PC and making his own versions of Sonic games. And they noticed the guy's talent, and they commissioned him to actually make Sonic Mania.
Cool.
And this actually has lots of the original Sonic stages with, additions to the level. You can now go down and see what's really on the ground level. All the music has been redone and revamped. It is an amazing game. I've been playing the hell out of that, and it's one of those things where if you got 5 or 10 minutes, you just jump in and go. And
I want to hear a Beastly Gamer review of a game where he's like, "This game is shit. This game is fucking terrible." Because every time I hear him talking about a game, he's like, "It's fucking amazing."
Watch my Quantum Break.
Quantum
review.
Break. Okay.
Check that one out because that really let me down. But the question is, how can a person seriously move? And you guys let us know in the comments too, here on Twitch and on YouTube. How can a gamer with a ton of games that he's never played, he or she's never played, who wants to keep up with the Joneses, who wants to have the newest games, who's excited about what's coming down the pipeline from developers?
I'll tell you how, Beasley. You got to ditch your family, ditch your job. Like you got to prioritize. If you want to play every fucking new release that comes out, there's not enough time in the day. Why are you buying all this shit, Beasley? That's my question. Like, why are you buying all these games that you don't have time to play?
I don't fucking know. It's real. It's crazy. And the voice of reason, she'll walk into the studio and she's like, "Why'd you just buy those 3 games?" I was like, "Because they're awesome. And I've heard some great things about it." And she says, "You're not going to play it." And I'm like, "Damn it, she's right." And all you can do is look away and kind of smile at, your wall or your poster of yourself.
Yeah.
And hope that she walks out of the room. But I really want to get back to some of these games. I really want to have the time for it. But I feel like if I...
You got a family, you got a job. You don't have time. You don't have the time anymore.
I mean, honestly, Brian, I could have time, but it's really, in my opinion, one or the other. Either I forego future games that are being dropped and released, the ones I'm excited about after Destiny 2, because I'm buying that. Or I forego the thought of my backlog and let those games die somewhere. And
eventually you gotta decide what game you're gonna play, right? Like, I'll tell you what I do. I've learned my lesson because I was in the same boat you were in 2 years ago. I mean, famously, I bought Far Cry 4 and it was sitting in the Saran wrap for like 2 years. Eventually I said, okay, I'm going to stop buying games until I actually have time to play it. It's not when it comes out that I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it when I have time to play it. And I got to say, Steam is awesome for this because I could just go onto Steam and, I never did get around to playing Nier Automata. I'd really like to play that. Or I never got to play the DLC for Wolfenstein. I'd love to play that. That's really nice because I can actually just download the game when I have time to play it. And boom, Bob's your uncle. You're playing that game 15 minutes later. But I'm not 21 anymore. I don't have unlimited fucking free time that I could spend gaming.
You're right, bro.
That was going to be my point. Was that when I was a lot younger, I was at GameStop during their prime when they were doing a midnight release for every single game. Yeah. I remember there was a 2-year period where every game had a midnight release. And I was knocking them out. I was achievement hunting, getting all the achievements. And you just get older and you don't have the time. And, some of us have become parents. I think I'm the only one that's not a parent here, actually. Yeah. But I still don't have
alive, Wilson.
I still don't have time. So I don't know how
Lucky
you guys,
bastard.
But as far as lying to myself about my backlog of games on console, no. Briar, you had mentioned that Steam is really good for helping you get through your backlog. I actually have the exact opposite experience of Steam is an enabler for me with this
Steam
because
sales
they put
are bad.
You nailed it, dude. Steam sales. I'll be like, why would I not buy fucking Grand Theft Auto for $15?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's an amazing game.
Oh wait, I can buy them all for $25? Oh, I'd love to play through the series. That's only fucking 4 months of actual gameplay.
Yeah.
I agree with Wilson there, bro, because I'm not even a PC gamer.
Yeah.
But when the last Steam sale that went on, I bought 6 or 7 games. I bought all the old Witchers. I was like, oh shit, this is all on PC.
Yeah, you're not gonna play that shit.
Yeah, I just bought it because it was a great deal on some great games.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, that game's normally $40, and
$40?
they only want 10 for it.
Shit.
Shing, pull the trigger, baby. And like, I have like over 100 games in my Steam library. 5 are installed.
You don't play, literally.
I uninstall games when I beat them. Like I played.
Yeah.
I played the Wolfenstein games. I uninstalled them. I didn't keep them. You guys keep games on your hard drive?
Yeah. So I'm kind of like along the same boat as you, Willie. For me, I've got 307 games on my Steam library installed, ready to go.
Installed.
Yeah, ready to go.
Where do you put that thing?
Gary's got one of those like fucking like 1960s hard drives in the back.
That's his hard drive behind him. It's not a soundproof wall.
Yeah,
that's his hard drive.
This is the hard drive. No, I like to. For me, it's a question of choice. So my time's limited too, but I love to have availability. It's why I've got like 120 Vita games sitting there ready to go that I could play at any time. I don't have much PlayStation anymore. I'll attest, but probably got about 400 PC games, all installed across Origin, Uplay, GOG, Steam, etc. But you never know. You might be like 4 p.m. on a Saturday, and you suddenly think, you know, I'll pick. I'm just going to pick something out of here. I'll pick BioShock 2 remastered, and I really want to play that. It's ready to go. Like I could click it, start it, play it. So for me, it's not about will I ever get around to my backlog. It's like it's there on command if I need it at any point. I don't feel like I need to play them to get accomplishment. I feel like purchasing them and owning them for me is the value. You know, I like to have things. I'm a collector. You know, it's not playing it. I've completed it and it's lost value.
I understand that. I feel that, Gary. Part of me is proud when I look. I think I have about 350 games on my PlayStation. And when I look in there and I see that there's 70 or 80 that I really haven't played, I do still feel that sense of accomplishment because it's part of my library. But a part of me also is wanting to have played them and beat them. Games like The Witcher 3, Briar, he was very late to that game. I probably put 15 to 20 hours into it when it first came out. And then I moved over to something else. And my wife, she sat next to me and beat it on her PS4. And she was about to leave me. She said, "You fucking loser. Why did you stop playing this game?" And I was like, I was doing some other shit. And then maybe a year later, Briar got into it. Part of me feels sick because I know it's an incredible experience. Both loves of my life have told me to play it, Briar and my wife, and in that order too. But you know, I look at some of these games, and part of me just wants to just get back in there and play. I just bought Thumper on PSVR. Mm-hmm. It's also just a regular PS4 game. Incredible, man. It's so awesome. It is incredible. And I'm like, I want to play this. I want to beat it, but I still got Sonic Mania here, and she's playing Uncharted 4 now. What do I do? Oh, watch YouTube. Fucked everything up.
So I guess to like answer your question, like what can we do to like get through those games without missing out on stuff? I mean, the only solution that I could really offer is like pick one day out of the week that you decide that you're going to go back to a game, whether it be Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, retro day.
Just pick a day out of the week, not even necessarily retro, just anything that you've been meaning to play. Pick that day to play it. And who knows, maybe you'll make time for it another day. But I'm going to tell you right now, Destiny 2 is coming out, and that shit ain't going to work.
I'm fucked. I really am.
Shit ain't going to work. You're just going to have to get raid ready, get trials ready. We'll go to the lighthouse, and then we can talk about playing the rest of your games, all right?
Yeah, we'll talk about this in like October.
You guys going to take me to the lighthouse?
Yeah, we're going. Because
I played Crucible with you. You're no carry. Yeah, fucking part of that team, man.
Yeah.
We're going.
We're going. We're going to the lighthouse.
I got 3 or 4 days to try to play as much as I can. When Destiny 2 comes, I'm done. I'm going to be playing nothing but Destiny. Oh, my God.
Like for me, it's really about, like, I only have so much free time, so how do I want to spend it? And, you know, all this shit costs money, too, right? And, like, imagine if you saved all that money, put it in a little retirement account, and you could retire 10 years earlier. You could retire 10 years earlier and start playing video games 24 hours a day.
Briar, my wife is watching this live. Don't fucking everything up.
The kids are gonna go to college. Think about all that time.
Right? Think about all that time to play video games.
She's coming sooner for Briar than you, but his kids will be going to college sooner.
Hey, Briar and I are the same age. Listen, now I'm gonna go into the living room after the show's over. She's gonna have a spreadsheet out. It's gonna be games that you were going to buy now. college fun. Fuck, Briar.
No, I'm saying Briar. I think Briar's going to be going to college sooner than yours, so he'll be having that free time.
I'm talking retirement, man. I'm talking a world where nobody needs anything from me.
I look at the same thing, and for me,
my time.
Yeah, Briar, that's right.
Me and my fiance, we're both like the biggest money wasting motherfuckers on the planet. Like, we buy shit that we don't need all the time, like 24/7. But at the same time, I feel like, like I said earlier, there's value in purchase. There's a in the modern society we live in, where it's so heavily driven on consumerism. It's one of the only highs that you can get anymore. Is just actually exchanging some money and getting an item for it. I feel like it's such a token, Western thing to say, but that is like the closest thing you can get to happiness anymore, man. And for me, it's
I think that's
something
bullshit,
that I get.
Gary. I think that's absolute
bullshit. You think
bullshit.
So?
Yeah,
really.
The key to happiness is not to spend your money on products, but to spend your money and your time on developing relationships and experiencing life. You get that little dopamine trip every time you buy like a new thing, but it's a short-lived thing. It's an empty happiness. It's gonna enriching your life, right? The new toaster looks so shiny, it's chrome, and it'll toast your toast twice as fast as the last toaster, and you can do 4 slices all at the same time. And you bring that thing home and you put it on the counter, and you're like, "What's next?"
It still won't make toast as fast. It still won't make toast as fast as Beasley's portable SNES, though.
Briar, to counter your point, Briar.
Yeah.
It still feels good to go out and buy lightsabers.
In a year, those lightsabers will be sitting in the closet. You won't have looked at them in 6 months.
Have fun with that audio, Gary.
Just as an FYI for our audio listeners, that wasn't clever editing and sound effects. This has pulled 2 child's lightsabers that he is now waving around like a special needs kid on a trip to Disneyland.
Also, we just got a copyright strike.
What the hell? Listen, these are not children's toys. My kids can't even fucking touch these. These are master replica lightsabers, and they cost $120 a piece. And I went and wasted money yesterday just to feel like Darth Vader's black stepson.
See, I have the exact opposite. Like, okay, sometimes I'll buy shit and I'll feel good about it, right? You know what I mean? But most of the time, I buy shit, and then I'm like, now I'm gonna have to hustle that much harder at the studio to make up for it this month. It never fails, like, you know what I mean? But I mean,
I had a nightmare a couple weeks ago that I had bought a laptop, and I was like, why did I buy that laptop?
Are you serious?
I had a nightmare.
Were you upset that you spent the money or that you bought an actual laptop and not
a little bit of both? A little bit of both. It was an impulse purchase.
A laptop's a nightmare of mine, to be honest.
Oh my god.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be living the PC dream pretty soon, guys. I promise. But I'll always be a console gamer true to my heart. There's some of us out here like Wilson and myself who love the console experience. I think PCs are cool and great, but I'll always be a console gamer in my big black heart.
I love both, man. I got respect for both. I jump ship sometimes. I'll be on one side of the line or the other. Like when I was, playing the Destiny 2 PC beta. Oh yeah, like what's a console? Yeah. You know what I mean? But realistically, man, that's where I gotta be. So.
Word. All right. So the next topic is.
Perfect. Is this the beginning of the end for the big single-player game? I know I've called it right here. On the September 4th, 2017, Revolver Live called it. This is the end of single-player games. We're not going to see any more released. It's just games as a service from here on in.
They just canceled God of War 15.
Damn.
Not happening. No more Uncharted, no more anything else. The Last of Us 2, gone.
Bullshit.
I guess the point is that games as a service are much higher return on investment for the studios. Single-player games are very much a one and done, and it's very difficult to monetize them. To get the bigger the budget, the more copies you have to sell, and there's a finite limit because you're only going to get $60 unless it's got a season pass with it with a load of DLC tied to it. But even then, it's only $100. And some of these games are getting more and more and more expensive. They're going to have 4-year development cycles. Things like Last of Us 2, God knows what that's going to cost. I don't know what God of War cost. And when games like Shadow of War try to add microtransactions into a single-player game, they get really heavily penalized for it. You know, sentiment is really poor against Shadow of War just for trying to earn some money for a single-player campaign. So, do we think that big-name franchises, things like Assassin's Creed and Uncharted, can probably ride the wave with their brand affiliation? People are going to buy Assassin's Creed no matter what. But games like Mass Effect Andromeda pretty much lampoon the franchise. You know, that game now needs a reboot. The Mass Effect was one of the most prestigious series on the console or on the, you know, in gaming for a single player adventure, and Andromeda single-handedly destroyed it. So do you think that we're going to see games like Destiny hop on the MMO light bandwagon and realize that we can keep people engaged for years on end from one single investment cycle and keep charging them with microtransactions and DLCs for 2-3 years from one major franchise? Or am I just talking out my British arse? What do we think?
I think you make a pretty good point. I mean, obviously, like, a lot of success in video games has come from multiplayer franchises that they're able to add DLC onto instead of pull resources for an entirely new game. You know what I mean? But as much as I am all about my multiplayer games and playing with friends, there is a time where I just want to sit down and not be bothered and completely immerse myself, whether that be Breath of the Wild, Fallout. I've even had an itch to go back to old school Oblivion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because that's a really good game, and
Sure
that's probably one of my favorites of the Elder Scrolls, to be honest. But there's, like you said, like, there's definitely going to be some established franchises like Bethesda. You know, they're going to be kicking out, you know, very successful single player games. Rockstar, you know, with Red Dead coming up, even though I'm sure there'll be some sort of an online mode where you can run around and shoot at other people and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm seeing in chat, you know, like how they milk Skyrim, you know, like how many times has that game been re-put out for, you know, every platform with an HD remake and stuff like that. But I don't, Yeah, VR. I see it 50-50. Like, I feel like there'll always be a need for both. But sure, I think it's an easier sell, in my opinion, with multiplayer. I feel like with single player, you're potentially targeting more of a broad audience, whereas with multiplayer, like, if your friends are playing it, you're more apt to play it, sort of thing, like peer pressure.
I think Wilson made some great points there, and I got to agree with you for the most part, Wilson. My opinion is this. There will always be, you know, these single player experiences that are incredible. But something I think we'll see more and more of are single player games that have a multiplayer component. If anything, I think that's what will happen. If you look at some of the great single player games of recent years, they do have a multiplayer component. Tomb Raider, The Last of Us, Uncharted. These games are seminal single player experiences that are better than most, you know, of their contemporaries.
Uncharted and Tomb Raider had a pretty good one too.
Yeah. Oh, fuck you, Briar. Really? The Last of Us had the best one, okay? The best. You were looking so fucking real with that, too.
I see what he did there.
Yeah.
Fucking bitch bombs everywhere.
Yeah, you dropped one on me just now, too. But I think that, you know, the Destiny model is very profitable. We've seen games like Destiny at this point come out on consoles, trying to adopt that model to make more revenue. But I think that, like I said before, I think we're going to see a continuation of single player experiences, and if anything, an additional mode that allows people to go online and maybe do microtransactions in that way. Because all the games I mentioned, you can go online in Uncharted, The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, and buy cosmetic items that funnel, you know, small amounts of funds back to the developer for their work. And I think that if a developer, unless it's a huge experience like what we've seen in Skyrim, like we've seen in Fallout, these games are seminal experiences that are so grandiose that you can literally be lost in the world for hundreds of hours. Those might be able to stand alone as a single player experience with some form of expansion. But I think that single player games, as we go on, will have some form of multiplayer component in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think that actually video games have the potential to be the most immersive form of storytelling that's like ever been invented, right? You're not passively watching a story or reading a story that you're not involved in. You're actually part of that story. And with VR, you're literally inside of that story, you know? Like, so having a single player experience go away, maybe the pricing's got to change. Maybe like gamers are going to have to accept $80 or $100 single player experiences if they want like the kind of grandiose stuff that they've come to expect, because it's only going to get more expensive to develop video games. As you know, as the standard comes to 4K and beyond, it's just going to get more and more expensive. Maybe we're going to have to start accepting that games are no longer $60; they're $80 or $100. In fact, video games are actually cheaper than they've ever been. You know, games have been $60 for like 20 years now, and when you take into account inflation, they're much, much cheaper than they used to be.
Yeah, much cheaper. I mean, actually,
like for me, it's like I hope they, I can never see them getting rid of single player experiences because I eat them up like candy. BioShock, BioShock Infinite, Hellblade. I recently played. Like,
oh, so good.
Some of these games are like absolutely some of the best experience I've ever had in gaming, and that's stuff you can't always have your buddy giggling next to you because it ruins the experience. You gotta be able to immerse yourself.
Yeah, and like Hellblade, perfect example, Briar. You actually have the headphones on. You're in that experience, and you're experiencing something, a single player experience unlike any other game you ever played. That's something that you could never get in a multiplayer experience. Perfect example. And I remember, Briar, you remember when video game cartridges cost $74.
Yeah, I remember Brian Genesis cartridges that cost $80. I think I bought Strider for the Genesis. That was $80. I think Phantasy Star was $80. Maybe it was $100.
Box Earthbound was like $120 back in the 90s. I can't believe my mom bought me that. I was lucky.
She loved you back then, Wilson.
Yeah.
She loved you back then.
A little less now after buying me that.
You see what happened when you came. You see what happened.
Yeah.
You see what happened when you came over. They got the hell out of there, man.
Yeah, they did. They went halfway across the country.
Stocked that fridge with Lunchables and got the fuck out.
Yeah. Give him some Lunchables and a Bic lighter, and he'll be fine. Like.
They know him so well.
Tell him the pig snort or the cat snorts like a pig, so he doesn't get freaked out later.
I don't know if you guys have noticed. I've had to mute my mic and yell back at the cat because I can hear it snoring over you guys. It's in the other room. For shit's sakes, what are they feeding this cat?
So Gary, this is your topic. What are your final thoughts on this? What do you think is going to happen?
I think we're going to continue seeing single-player campaigns, single-player stories. I think chat made some really interesting points that I hadn't thought about throughout our conversation, specifically around, what do we think were some of the biggest games and most anticipated games of the year? They weren't necessarily service games. Things like Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn. Yep. Moving forward, Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. All of these are exclusively single-player games with no multiplayer component whatsoever included in them, and they were the headline games that people are really looking forward to seeing and playing. So maybe the games as a service may be more monetizable on the long tail, but the spike games that are going to generate you big bucks in the first month or the first weekend seem to be the single-player story-driven campaign games. So that's definitely some good points were raised there. It's really interesting.
Games as a service is a relatively new concept, and games like Destiny are new to the marketplace, and people are learning from this. And I do think that you're going to see a lot more games similar to Destiny, where they really are meant to kind of have you stick around and have you mainline that game. But I think it's going to be like a MMO situation where you have WoW, and then you have like a bunch of other ones, right? It's like you can't have too many of these things in your life, so a lot of people are going to pick one, and they might flirt with one or two along the way, but they're going to come back to their main a lot. Whether that's Destiny or not, I don't know. It could be that
kind of
Anthem comes out. It could be that Anthem comes out, and that perfects the game as a service model. And it in 10 years, we're talking about how Anthem fixed it.
Do you know what? Since playing Destiny 2 PC, my hype for Anthem has tailed off hard, man. I've gone back and watched that trailer so many times, and doesn't look as impressive anymore, I've got to say, once you've seen D2 PC running in all its glory.
Anthem looks like, oh, God
did you guys see the live action trailer for Destiny 2? We didn't even talk about that.
About 100 times.
Trailer. Dude, I literally changed my pants like 4 times watching that. It's so
I saw
good.
that even Mrs. Rabbit was like, I am so pumped for Briar and his friends. This gave me goosebumps. The production value.
Saw it because I tweeted it out and she just follows me on Twitter. She watched it and she had to come into the office and be like, "Oh my god, that trailer was amazing." She doesn't play video games.
That's real love, man. It doesn't get any better than that.
I saw a lot of people, like, the only complaint that I saw that was voiced largely was that people are tired of them using like popular music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you know, Zeppelin and Beastie Boys. I say 70s.
Somebody complained about Sabotage?
About Sabotage and said that it was lazy picking a classic.
These people
and it's like,
do not have an opinion that is worth listening to. They have selected themselves as part of the population that you don't need to listen to anymore. They've actually done you a favor, Wilson. You now know you can identify these people and not waste your fucking time on them anymore. It's really, they've done you a favor.
I haven't seen this live action trailer yet. I'm going to check it out after the show.
Sake.
Yeah, you need to check it out, man. Because I tell you right now, if you watch that and that doesn't get you the slightest bit of getting pumped for D2, then you
guys said it had Freebird in the background. What was the background music?
No, Sabotage. It was Sabotage, Beastie Boys.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's so good. The production value, like, I hate to say it, but people said that it kind of reminded them of like a Star Trek trailer. It kind of did. Like, there was the classic J.J. Abrams lens flare, you know, there was the Beastie Boys Sabotage, but like, damn, did they paint a good picture of not only what the world is going to be like, what we're jumping into, but what it's going to be like for new players jumping in, because that was the whole thing. This wasn't the same people that you saw in the previous live action trailers. These were new people being introduced to the world, and holy shit, am I pumped. Favorite part, no joke, where the Scions are in the hallway with their laser guns and it's all dark, and then everyone pops their super and the Scion looks out from his scope like, oh shit. And
my favorite part is the hunter running down the hallway shooting the gun over her head.
Yeah, and that right after they all pop their super and the Scion looks out of his scope and is like, oh shit, the Titan's just standing there going, you know, he's got a super pop, you know, like let him know that it's about to, it's really good, man.
It nails the comedy, the humor. It nails like the lightheartedness of the Destiny universe, but it also really gets the power fantasy of, like, you know, all these Guardians doing all this badass shit. It really it kills it. It's so much better than that stupid multiplayer trailer they put out a month ago.
Yeah,
that was
I want the gear. I want that stuff that they're wearing, because these are real people in Warlock, Titan, Hunter gear. You know what I mean? Man, it's a cosplay.
You got that in an extra large?
Yeah. How does that run? How does the Hunter helmet run? You know, like,
I got kind of a big dome, you know.
Yeah, I got a lot of brain activity going on up here. Like
4 times XL if you're from Orlando as well. Just get that in there.
4X. Damn.
But yeah, I think I was really excited because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt like they released the other live action trailers a lot sooner, and I was beginning to wonder if they were even going to do one. So I was really happy. Like, I was at work, it dropped, I watched it. My buddy, who's never played Destiny before, doesn't play video games anymore, looked at that and was like, holy shit, man, like, that's the kind of stuff you're going to be doing. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, with friends, you know, like, this is awesome.
He sold it, nailed it.
Yeah, he sold it. Like, but he's like, well, you know, this looks really cool, man. Like, he
Wilson pulled a Gary.
Hell yeah. His friend said, gotta pick it up.
That's true. And then I got back to work, would put my piece, you know, get done with a step or two, put my piece back in the kiln, and I'd sit down and I'd watch it again. I think before I got home, I'd probably watch that thing like 20 times at work.
Do you know what? I feel like Destiny would make watching these sorts of things, not like so much a movie, because I know you mentioned that in the DCP, Briar, but I feel like Destiny would work really well on either. Do you remember the Starship Troopers series that they did that was like live action, was it? No, it wasn't live action. Animated CGI. You know, it was. I don't know if you ever saw that in the 90s. I mean, Wilson's
nodding away. I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
like computer animated sort of thing. You know, if they did something like that, or even just an actual drawn anime of Destiny, something that could be put out there. Man, I'd watch the shit out of that. That would be impressive. I think like a movie, every video game movie has typically been awful, so I'm trying to swerve that curse for Destiny. But
Super Mario Brothers was the greatest video game movie of all time. You shut
absolutely
your mouth.
Street Fighter. Street Fighter was the best.
Where
one.
Hoskins did a shot of a woman's tits as Mario. I I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and they also
You're kind of be selling me on it now.
Yeah, they were also, they stated that they were shit-faced wasted during the entire production of that film. Both of them guys were shit-faced the entire time.
That's the one where he broke his wrist during filming, and they just painted the cast the color of skin to just keep shooting.
Did they
I think
really?
that is, isn't it? Yeah,
I'm
they were shooting,
and
and Bob Hoskins was. I've watched a documentary on it. I like bad movies. Was Bob Hoskins was Mario, and they did a stunt where he had to brake really. Luigi had to brake really quickly in the car, and Bob didn't move his hand quick enough, and the door slammed closed, broke all the fingers in his hand, and he had a plaster cast on, and rather than delay the shoot, they just painted it skin colored and just carried on with the shoot. So it was just amazing that you had like
to check that out. Like,
yeah.
Well, you had mentioned that real quick, kind of back on topic. You had mentioned that Destiny would do really good with some sort of like live action short, film, maybe like 30-minute long episodes or something. I feel like that would be a really good idea. But like, you look with like what Halo did with Halo Legends. I don't know if you ever saw those animes. They were fantastic, dude. It wasn't exactly the main story, but it was side stories of other people in the universe. How cool would it be to like see like a side story of Ephrodite or Fellwinter or anyone, Osiris? Like, I think that with the amount of lore that's in that game, sky's the limit.
I don't even want that. I want to explore the residents of the Last City. Obviously not anymore because they're just charred ashes of humans. But like before they were all dead, I just want like a series set in the Last City, like a political intrigue, almost like a Game of Thrones, because there must be politicians that run that city. We're just like watchmen, up in the tower. We're not down there seeing what goes on. I'd love to explore that, and then their perception of what the Guardians do, because they don't see you on a day-to-day. For all they hear like, kids' stories of you going off and killing alien races far away. There's an inanimate object in the sky that they don't get any power from because they're not light imbued. They're just humans living in a walled city. I don't know. I'd love to see that.
Well,
that would be
more
really
speaking of like the consensus, and like that's where like New Monarchy, Future War Cult, Dead Orbit, and even the Vanguard is part of the consensus. Like, they're calling the shots. Everybody else has to take things to the Vanguard. The Vanguard takes it to the Speaker, and the Speaker decides whether or not they're going to go through with it. So, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of a dictatorship, to be real, because the Speaker could just be like, nah, bruh, we ain't doing that.
Emphasis on the dick.
Dick.
And that's it. Bring
not
like
the tater, just the dick.
Tax on thongs or something for the city, just really be a dick about it.
Have you guys ever seen an anime called The Animatrix, which was a film that had 9 short films based around the Matrix lore?
Yep.
And it was all anime, different styles. I think something like that would work really well with Destiny, with just varying stories from different perspectives, told by different directors, and that would be amazing as well. But I really agree with you, Gary, on the whole idea of the Lost City and kind of the way it was functioning before everybody got the shit wiped out of them. That would be awesome to see as well. Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore you could touch on. I mean, like, Cade Six used to be human. He used to work for Clovis Bray, and apparently he broke a bunch of shit. So to pay him back, he let them turn him into an exo. Like,
wow, to see that would be crazy.
Story would be amazing. Like, seeing like a drunk Cade fumbling around, breaking like $1 trillion equipment, and just being like, fuck it. Like,
you can tell that we're excited to play Destiny because I think this is like the 4th time it's been brought up during this podcast. We can't get away from it. We can't stay away from it this week.
I think we've just decided what the next Revolver skit's going to be. Who's going to be drunk Cade, and where are we filming this?
I think it should be Beastly.
Definitely.
Yep. Time to go to the liquor store.
His performance as the console hobo in the last one, I mean, it was breathtaking. It was breathtaking. If that doesn't get nominated this year,
I'll take my award now.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank all the co-hosts for Revolver Live and everyone who watches us.
That looks like more like
Twitch.
a booby prize than an award.
Let me open it up so you guys.
I'd like to thank Yobo for making an awesome portable
Thank
SNES.
you, Yobo. I couldn't have.
My toast has never been toastier.
The rest of the world's out there trying to fight off the threat of North Korea, and Beastly's buying their imports. Look at that thing. That was like crafted in the wastelands.
Oh, this didn't come from Kim Jong-un, you ass.
Literally funding terrorism.
Yeah. Literally.
That's like current tech in North Korea, man. That's like state of the art. That's what all the kids are playing in Pyongyang.
Probably.
Yeah. We have the most state-of-the-art advanced video game system, and it's the Yobo SNES portable.
Yobo. They wanted to call it damn, I'm trying to think. What is it?
They wanted to call it
YOLO.
Hobo, but
YOLO.
They wanted to call it Hobo, but nobody would allow them to, so they called it Yobo.
YOLO. You only live once, but it was already taken. I like that.
Are we all done with our topics, or?
I think we are.
All right.
Yeah, we've blown our load one more week. We need
prematurely. It lasted for 2 hours. That's a hell of a night for anybody.
I mean, is it impressive to think that this time next week we will be drawing us all away from Destiny 2 to talk?
Damn. This episode will be 20 minutes long. Hey guys, what you been doing? Playing Destiny, playing Destiny, playing Destiny.
Destiny. Maybe we'll just live stream us playing Destiny.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just do it the Destiny 2 Revolver episode. Because if I'm not playing it, damn it, I want to be talking about it.
Yeah, for real.
And if I'm not talking about it, I want to be playing it.
One or the other. One or the other.
I think maybe chat can talk about us, commenters, people in chat now, and people that watch the YouTube video. Throw up a comment if you want to see a Destiny 2 special next week where we just go all out. We go balls deep talking about Destiny 2. So I think that's what we'll all care about. No one will have anything else to talk about. So.
Nice.
All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Beasley, what you got going on this week? Anything you want to pimp?
I got some new tech for my studio. I bought myself a teleprompter.
You just bought yourself a bunch of work. Now you have to script every video so that you can justify the purchase of a teleprompter. That's what you just did to yourself.
Damn it, Briar. You can't ever be a cup half full kind of fucking guy. Holy shit. Damn it. I was excited until I told you I had
it. Straight up exposed.
You know you can get a program for your computer that just scrolls down the text for free.
Yeah, but I didn't want that. I wanted an actual teleprompter, okay?
Yeah, but this is a
device.
We see
it? Can we see it?
You know, I don't want a PC screen elitist. I want the real fucking deal.
Get the teleprompter out. Go on. He's got to show us his new toys. He's already got the lightsabers out. He's got this.
I hope your wife fucks with you and like changes up a word or two in there for you so that you have to redo.
I hope that too.
Yeah.
So it's on a tripod. So are you gonna be like standing in front of the green screen doing videos?
Yeah, I want to be doing it all, Briar.
Doing it all.
Whatever you guys want. Yeah.
Whatever we want.
Anything, Briar, for you.
We'll talk later.
This is like, it's just got everything, the ingredients to make a new Anchorman spin-off with you. It's fantastic. I like it.
Super excited. What are you guys going to be up to for the next couple of days?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
I got a new streaming PC coming from On Air PC that's arriving on Tuesday. I got to set that thing up and get going. Because that raid comes out 7 short days after the release of Destiny 2, and I plan to be raid ready. And then the Friday following that, we're gonna jump in and do some trials, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That'll be fun.
We're going to the lighthouse straight there.
I've never been to the lighthouse before. I'm afraid of water too, so I got to stay in the lighthouse.
It's easy. It'll be fine.
Trust me, there's no water at the lighthouse.
You're pretty close to Mercury, so water content is at a minimum.
Yeah, slow. Low to nil.
For sure.
And this week, if all goes well, we may even see the first Revolver live stream. So if you've not already followed the Revolver live Twitch, I'd recommend heading over and following, because we're going to be, I guess, streaming as a group, as individuals. It's really a community stream for us all to jump onto when we feel the urge. But the equipment
we like to think
here.
of it as the gangbang of live streams.
Damn right.
Yeah, we kind of like run train on that Twitch key. We kind of just one in, one out.
That we'll be there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Keeping it totally consensual.
Revolver Live and the hosts of Revolver Live do not endorse rape in any way.
Rape, I'm talking about live streaming. What the hell?
Let's be fair. 75% of the hosts do not endorse in any way assault of any individuals of any kind, sexual or non-sexual. The other 25, the jury is still out. But...
Absolutely it is. Absolutely.
All right, is that gonna do it, guys? This was a good show. It's glad to have everybody back. I missed you guys.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good time for sure. Felt very
All right.
natural.
Cat, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. with 6 fresh new topics.
Revolver out.
I think that's it. Revolver out.
Or just Destiny 2.
Wait.
What?
We never finished the Pornhub quiz. There's people
there was a
waiting
Pornhub
2 hours
quiz.
for their answers. 2 hours for their answers. The most searched term was stepmom, and the country that spends the the most searched term on Pornhub in 2016 was stepmom, which I found
weird as fuck,
disconcerting. And then finally, the country that spends the longest time per visit is Venezuela, who spends 12 minutes per visit. Good night, everyone. There you go. Your answers
12 minutes
are there.
is the wow. All right.
Damn.
We
suck.
That is
Take that
information
with
that
you.
could be scarring to me.
The more you know.